Hello again, guys. Happy December. Goodness gracious. And I say this all the time, just like that. The year is ending or about to end. We had a break in November. That was eclipse season. So we're really hoping that you guys are slowly coming out of that whirlwind of an eclipse. December is very friendly. The energies are very supportive of integration, but also discernment. So yeah, hello again, Karina. Here we are.
Here we are. I'm so excited to be here. These are always like magical times when we come together to talk about the astrology because I mean, we say this all the time too, but every time we rewatch it, it's like, oh, we knew. So I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Yay.
Yay, again, after that month's hiatus. What day do you want to start? We're recording this on the 2nd of December. I guess we'll just jump right into it. So today we have Mercury and Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. That's already stationing, or beginning to station. And then Venus, who's in Sagittarius, rising as an evening star, is sextiling Saturn. You want to jump into it?
I want to give the precursor that yesterday Venus was opposite Mars.
Hmm.
Venus and Sag opposite Mars retrograde and Gemini. So just in case anyone's been feeling this tension or this, I don't know whether to do or to feel or to write down my desires or to start creating my dream, like that's probably Venus opposite Mars. Um, I would say, based on what I did, like map it out, like get your pen and paper. Your pen is your best friend, and map it out because Venus and Sagittarius and Gemini, that's a lot of energy. So when you get it on paper, it's that much easier. It's that much easier to understand it. Now today, Mercury square Neptune, I think that's that's amazing for getting messages from your dreams, or your dream space talking to you maybe in ways that your human self doesn't want to see or doesn't want to accept yet. And then I feel like Venus sextile Saturn, um, that feels like if you did write down or if you did map out what you want to do and what your desires are, it's a great time to get more specific on how you want to create those desires, even though the way you create may not be how people tell you should create, because that's Saturn and Aquarius, right? It's doing things differently. It's innovating. It's being like, I don't care that you don't understand what I'm doing. I'm still going to do it because I'm doing it out of love. That's super important, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah, how about you? How do you feel?
that's the key word right there. Everything out of love. I want to talk a bit about Venus in her heliacal evening star rise. We've been having Venus as morning star since January, and then in September, she descended. So we stopped seeing her. We couldn't see her anymore, and the last that we saw her, she was in Libra. So for the last couple of days until now, we've been swimming in this Venus in the underworld, and then we have Venus in the underworld with that with that eclipse in Scorpio. There's still a lot of a lot of relationship issues, a lot of relationship themes. And now that she's rising as evening star, where we're going to see her slowly and slowly ascending for the next 9 months, what have you learned about relationships? What have you learned about relationships to yourself, relationship to values? I think we've been saying this a lot, right? Relationships, not just with people, but of course that's important because that's intimacy. Remember, it's into me I see. We start to build relationship with ourselves when we understand our self as mirrored or projected from the other. And with this whole underworld journey and that Scorpio eclipse, and now she's rising as evening star in Sagittarius, There's freedom and liberation to be had from everything that we experienced from September since we last saw her. And now that she's sextiling Saturn before she squares Neptune tomorrow, this is a big deal, right? How can we be in alignment with our heart and our heart's truth? Because although she's rising as evening star very close to Mercury, there's mind and heart, right? So mind and heart coherence. We it's so easy to be in our heads with Gemini and Sagittarius and all these information and all these feelings of liberation and exploration to know more and seek more. But this Venus in Sagittarius with Saturn right now is asking more than just knowledge, because knowledge is the seeking of information, right? And getting information, attaining information for knowledge. But knowledge without application, knowledge without integration is headspace. So Venus in Sag with Saturn is an invitation to have embodied wisdom. Because knowledge is, wisdom is knowledge applied. Wisdom is knowledge integrated. How can we be integrated and aligned with the truth of our heart's desire, regardless regardless of whatever it looks like for other people? It doesn't matter. What matters is what it looks like for you, what your truth looks like for you. And that also requires discernment, that requires devotion to, and that requires really being intimate with yourself. Again, Libra. Yeah, I think I'll stop there for now.
I love everything that you said, because it feels like everything that went through my mind yesterday. Like I was thinking about, so I've been in this space where I'm thinking about what I want to create, how much more I want to create, how much more I want to teach, what do I want to teach? Of course, the sun is in Sag. So then I'm like thinking maybe I need to learn more of this, more of that. And then I'm like, wait, I don't need to learn anything. I just need to sit with myself and see what comes through. Because Sag, Gemini, it's like, I need information, I need information, I need more information. But then, like when we sit, we learn, we don't need information. We need to sit and tune in. And so as I was sitting and tuning in and I had my pen and paper, I was like, this is what we actually need. And sorry, where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So you said about, I lost it again. Anyway, my point is that I know, super, like it just came in. But I feel like the release of all of this is happening in Virgo, right? Because we have Sagittarius activated, we have, excuse me, Gemini activated, and we have Pisces activated. So the release is in Virgo. So what is there for us to do when we're looking at Virgo? It's more about organizing our days. It's more about, like we said, getting it down on paper. It's more about getting very clear of what we want to create in this real world, but through love. And to me, what it comes down to, again, is just a radical self-expression. It's radical love through self-expression. Sagittarius, right? Radical love. Because at the end of the day, what's the goal? I feel like the goal is not to teach other people's thoughts. The goal is to sit with ourselves, express ourselves, be comfortable, like you said, be comfortable enough with ourselves to express ourselves to ourselves, and then share that self-expression with others. Does that make sense? Sorry, I went like everywhere and then came back to this main thing, but
no, totally.
that's Neptune, I guess.
Yes, that was beautiful. That's embodied astrology for you.
Oh
and this poise of not panicking because you forgot what, right? I mean, the train of thought just
yeah, it
flowed.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for receiving.
Thank you for being.
You want to take us into the fourth?
Yeah, so the fourth May the 4th be with you, though it's December. We finally have Neptune stationing direct in Pisces after being retrograde since June, late June, June 29th, if I'm not mistaken. So June 29th, Neptune stationed retrograde in 22 degrees of Pisces. Now Neptune stationing direct, but mind you, Neptune is still taking its cosmic coffee, cacao fee, and won't be out of shadow until around March next year. So we're still in this, although there's this lifting of the fog, because right, Neptune rules illusion, disillusionment, information, media. It's also this cosmic, I'm getting toilet. It's this cosmic toilet where it's the end of everything. It's the end of everything. So everything just gets flushed away down the drain. So it's a beautiful opportunity to cleanse, I guess, to take this time to really purge yourself. Since we're already setting up visions for what we want to create for 2023, why don't we purge? We just came from an eclipse. Purge ourselves from narratives that no longer serve us, from stories that don't serve us anymore, from relationships, values, resources that deplete us more than empower us. This is the time to get aligned, especially since we have Mercury also squaring Neptune. Oh no, that was today, but we're still in that energy because this whole Neptune retrograde, we have Mercury and Venus squaring Neptune for the past months, for the past 6 months. So again, Mercury and Venus, that's thinking about your values. And now that we've thought about our values, how can we ground our dreams for next year? And what else do we have? We have Sun trining Chiron also. And yeah, I just said Venus squaring Neptune again. So what I'm really getting here is we have an understanding of our wounds. We have an understanding of our trauma, better understanding of our trauma and our wounds. How can we just soften into our hearts? I don't want to say forgiveness because forgiveness can be a loaded term. I just really want to use soften into love, because even like whatever emotions, I think this is the gist of what we've been getting even in our Sagittarius circle, right? Even in pain, even in grief, even in anger and in rage, these are all just different decibels of love. So how can we soften into those emotions, knowing that those emotions are neither good or bad? All emotions are neutral. It's the Mercury, it's the mind that infuses meanings into the flowing of these emotions. And Karina already said, sit with it, right? This is the moment while Neptune is in that shadow phase until it really goes out of the shadow period. And when I say shadow, it's just that Neptune, although it's stationed direct, it's visiting again the degrees that it already was in before it stationed retrograde. That's why it's a shadow phase. So it's a revisiting, but there's a direct motion. So there's a lifting of the fog. And so we can use Neptune's power outward already, like shine that love, shine that light. But what it requires and what it asks of us is that we really sit in the emotions as the emotions are flowing. Because with Sun trining Chiron also, there's an opportunity, there's a gift to use that agape love, that big love resource back to us, back to our traumas, back to our wounds, and use that as our healing salve for others.
Thank you. I was typing down what I was thinking of as you were speaking so that I can keep track, because Neptune. So first thing that I thought about as you were speaking, this last part that you were talking about is emotions, right? You said sit with the emotions. It keeps coming back. James Burgess and emotions are addictions. It just keeps coming back because it's true. When we sit with it, we learn that it's true. We like to distract ourselves from the emotion to prolong the emotion because it's drama and drama feels good. Fire signs love drama, right? And the sun is in Sagittarius. And so it's like we're watching the drama that we're going through. But I think when we're not sitting with it, we're not realizing that we're the person that's going through the drama. Like we think it's someone else, but then it's us. And then we're the ones creating trauma, and then we're the ones having to solve trauma. So again, or an invitation to just sit with it and notice when you're coming back to the same emotions again and again and again, and maybe write those emotions down. And the next time you find yourself in that emotion, think of where it's rooted. Because there's like, if we think of where it started in that moment, we'll get clarity for that moment. But if we think of, okay, when did I start feeling this way the first time? Then it's like more ability to dive deeper and understand where it even started. And then I feel like that's also working with Mercury square Neptune, which we have today, because we're unraveling the story so that we can write a new story. Because okay, so cards that I pulled for Neptune stationing direct. 6 of Cups. To me, this is a card of nostalgia. And I feel like it's a time to look back at when Neptune was direct before it stationed retrograde. Look at what your goals were. What were your dreams? What did you want to do? And how can you get realigned with that? Because as Neptune stationed retrograde, it was more maybe about communicating this dream with yourself, actually dreaming about it in your sleep. Maybe it's also been addictions coming up to distract you from the dream. Maybe it's also been distraction, right? You said discernment. That's what I was going to say earlier. That completely slipped away from me. Mutable signs, all mutable signs, when we talk about them, discernment. And Virgo, what is Virgo? The digestive system, the digestion system. Words. Anyway, so like, yeah, feel into how all of these things feel in your body. Look back at what you wanted to do and look at where you are now. Are you on the way? Like, look, he was a little boy with a little puppy, and now he's a grown-up man with a grown-up dog, thinking back to when he was a little boy with a little puppy. So what are your dreams? And what have your dreams been since you were a child? Because more and more we're realizing we can actually create those dreams. Everything that we've been told, you can't have it. We can have it. We're all artists. We're all creatives. Like that's what comes to me with Neptune stationing direct in Pisces. We all have the potential to create art. And we all, and I said this in one of the last ones too, we all have the ability to share our heart through art. It's such a disgrace, I feel like, to humanity that some people or some children have been taught that we aren't creative, because everyone's creative, and it's only through everyone's creation and witnessing everyone's creation that we can even get a glimpse of what life is, what humans are, what this earth is. Because when we put all of this together, it's like a puzzle. But then if we have people who are not creating and suppressing energy, then we're all feeling that suppressed energy. Whereas when we have people all creating and we're all tapping into their creations, what a world, right? So that's very much like victim versus empowered creator. And I feel like as Neptune stations direct, we're being moved from victim to empowered creator, which also takes me to a post that I did recently, where I wrote about Chiron, and it was wounded healer, healing healer, healed healer, right? That's the progression. We don't stay wounded healers forever. We don't stay healing forever. At some point, we're healed, like we're complete. How much do we want to heal? This is ridiculous. So it's like, how can we snap out of it? If we've been in this cycle of healing one thing again and again, it's time to begin. Like maybe we begin slowly, because the next card is pulse of the earth pulsing. So like tune in with the pulse of the earth and slow down and spend time in nature and spend time with our mother, maybe your literal mother as well, maybe the mother within you. And then remember how freaking capable you are to create magic in the world, because Neptune is magic to me. Okay, That is me for the 4th. How do you feel about the 6th, which is Mercury square Jupiter? I like that.
I feel like we touched up on this already. It's getting down. This is a lot of dreaming. This is a lot of hope, a lot of visioning. Get the freaking pen and paper, man, and just put it all down. Or art. Use Sagittarius' need for freedom and exploration. And instead of knowing more, like gaining and attaining information, sit with what you already know and use Jupiter to just dream, and create vision boards from what you already know and what you already have. Because the impulse of this square, Mercury is going to want to seek information to load you up more and make you feel like, now I'm full because I just gained another, another information, another sense of knowledge elsewhere. But right, we talked about this. We are already wise. We are already healed to a certain extent. It's our minds that telling us, and we just need to gain more. We need to get more outside information as validation for whatever it is that just wants to be seeked inside, right? What you're seeking is seeking you. And it's already seeking your attention. So why don't we use Jupiter in Pisces? Because Jupiter, by the end of this month, is moving into a fire sign. And it's in the last degrees of Pisces. So this is really all about that, creating art and using your mind as a tool instead of using your mind to distract you from what you already have inside.
So good. Okay, and we say squares are usually challenging, but then when it's squaring Jupiter, it's not really that challenging. It's just amplifying the energy of the planet that it's squaring, right? So Jupiter squaring Mercury is not necessarily challenging, but it's if you show up, you can reap the benefits. But if you don't show up, Jupiter is going to be like, you're on your own, do what you want.
And I feel like it's a beautiful setup. I believe. I believe that it's a beautiful setup to the day after, where Mercury first gets this expansive boost from Jupiter and Pisces to dream, or create art. And then by the 7th, when Mercury enters Capricorn with a stern mastery would be like, okay, dude, now what? What are we going to do about it? What work are we going to do now to make those dreams grounded into form and not just in paper? And I really like what astrologer Stormy Gray said. I forget when she said this, but this really stuck to me. When she talked about Capricorn, there is no lack, there's only work. So what work needs to be done? Where are you feeling lack? Where are you feeling your kulang? Where are you feeling you need more information about this? There is no lack. Lack is an illusion, right? But in this patriarchal thing, and I think I can go on, it's 1144, talking about all this lack and this illusion of lack. The universe is so abundant. Everything is abundant. Everything that we need is already here. We just need work, which is Capricorn, and align ourselves with the kind of work, devotion necessary, discipline necessary, which is also Capricorn, to make those into form.
Yeah. And I pulled some cards just to amplify what you're talking about. And of course, perfect. There is no lack. Get it all into light. Like get everything into light from darkness. You see how he's under a full moon, and this is like his mind talking loud, being like, you don't know that much. And he's like, okay, let me just take everything that I can and go. It's like, where are you betraying yourself? Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you telling yourself that you are at a place of lack when actually you're at a place of such abundance, and all it takes is a perspective shift. And Jupiter square Mercury is perfect for that perspective shift. I feel like Jupiter is always so good with perspectives. But then, yeah, when Mercury enters Capricorn, as Thea was saying, it's perfect to get started. It's perfect to be like, okay, you've been talking about this for so long, enough talking, more doing. And since we're moving from like fire to earth, it's much more, it's like easier to get clear, because fire is like inspiration. It's living around here or around here, or around everywhere. Earth is living here, like we create it. And so this is asking, how can you bring it to light? And very interestingly, the void, which is stop, embrace winter, great cosmic boom. So Capricorn, feminine sign, right? And it's what is it, the brightest part of the chart? I feel like Capricorn, darkest part of the chart.
Darkest would be
Yeah.
darkest.
Yeah. I don't know why I said brightest when I knew darkest, and that was exactly what this was. But anyway, at the darkest point of the chart. And of course, this card is saying, embrace winter. Welcome to December, my friends. Like, it's a slowdown, but it's also a startup. This is a strange December, I feel like, because the energies are beneficial. They're kind of soft, but they're also like planets are moving, planets are stationing. We have a full moon in Gemini, for God's sake. Like, that's a loud full moon. So it's like there is a lot happening. So how can you get clear about what's happening and embrace it? Don't try to change it yet, not yet. Just observe it, sit with it, see what's going to come of it. Maybe soon we'll get to what to do next. But yeah, as Mercury enters Capricorn, I feel like it's also about listing down those dreams. Now that you've tuned into Pisces and Neptune and taken that time to really, really dream, write down what are the specific steps to get you to this dream. And maybe give yourself deadlines. By this time, I want to have this. By this time, I want to have this. Not as a strict deadline to be like stern with yourself, but as a deadline to just check in with ourselves. Because with it, Sag and Gemini, I feel like we also have a tendency to be so light on ourselves, because we're like, so much is happening in Gemini. I'll just, cut myself some slack. And yes, it's important to cut ourselves some slack, but I also think it's important to have structure, have order. Right? When we talk about Capricorn and Cancer, it's flow into structure. And so I feel like that's similar with Pisces. How can you flow into structure so that the structure allows you to flow even more, rather than get confused with what you're saying, like what's happening to me very often.
And I like how, but of course it's just magic, right? It's so perfect how the card that you pulled for Mercury entering Capricorn is the void. Mercury in Capricorn, remember, when Mercury is in Earth signs, this year for the next, I think, couple of years, it eludes me right now, it goes retrograde. But this time around, I mean, for 2022, all Mercury retrogrades, we have Mercury in Earth, and then it slips back into air, and then it goes back into Earth. For 2023, the next Mercury retrogrades, which, I mean, Mercury will be stationing retrograde by the end of December. It's just all in Earth. So there's really more now. Okay, we've had too much air, and with Mercury just coming from Sagittarius, we gave you fire to hope into your dreams, to put light and optimism into your dreams. Now, Capricorn and Earth and Mercury's first retrograde again is like, okay, now it's time to get real. But it's not like we're dampening all that hope and optimism, right? It's just reframing it to determinism. How determined are we to, yes, we are hopeful, yes, we are dreaming, but how determined are we really now to get those dreams into form? And that's this Mercury about to station retrograde in Capricorn, this whole void, dark into light energy is calling us. And again, right, Neptune is still in this, she's still taking her cosmic coffee and being like, I'm here, dream into me. But remember, Capricorn, you have to do the work. What small baby steps, right? It doesn't have to be like this long-term strategy, because that's Sagittarius, long-term, big thinking, big ideas. Capricorn is like, nope, everyday small steps, everyday determinism, so that we can take, we then can feel and I think this is me moving into the full moon in Gemini, is using that, um, using this energy, not to separate is what's coming to me, but separate and filter from all those distractions that are keeping us from realizing that the dream is actually the living in the everyday. That the big vision, the getting there is just the bonus. But the being, the becoming until you get there is the juice of it all, which is the secret that eludes us because we're so busy in the mind. We're so busy in the striving for the dream, in the dreaming, that we're forgetting that this moment right here, this minute, is never going to happen again. That breath that I took, I'm never going to take that again. And in that liberation of that breath, knowing that this dreaming, this life, this breathing is what is, this whole circle of life in love, then I am free. I am free in this moment. I am free to be. In this moment, I am free to do. In this moment, I am free to just be free. I am getting so existential, but I hope that makes sense.
No, that made all the sense. And of course, you're getting existential. The sun is in Sag, and so is Mercury, and so is Venus. But no, I love that so much because it's true, right? That's Capricorn. Capricorn is the being. Capricorn is the sign of integrity. And so it's like, instead of thinking so much, how can we live it? How can we show it through our actions, most especially to ourselves, so that we can start believing ourselves? Because I feel like we're at a point where we've said so many words to ourselves. And now it's a time to show ourselves that we're actually capable of what we've said that we're going to do. So that we can remember how powerful we are, right? Because I think a lot of times we let ourselves down with words. We'll say all these words, we have all these plans, and then we don't go through with them. And then we start feeling bad because we're like, we made these plans. How could I not have gone through it? And so Mercury in Capricorn is like kind of a redo. And it's a double redo, right? Because it's going to go straight, and then it's going to retrograde, and then it's going to come back, maybe a triple. So have a look at how you're living. Moment to moment, like day to day, as Thea said, that's where it all lies, which leads to the 8th, as you said, the full moon in Gemini, where we also have Sun opposite Mars. Funnily enough, so I pulled some cards for that day. I feel like the cards that came out are more related to Jupiter square Venus, but I mean, the card said, so I'm going to show you. Page of Cups, which is, this came out right as you were saying, like, it's a dreamy time. Like, we got to take advantage of the dreaminess, especially since Jupiter is going to be moving into Aries soon. And do you remember? Do you remember what that felt like? Like, that was hot. Oh my God, the day that it moved into Aries for the first time, I got a cut on my forehead. Like, that was Jupiter in Aries. So, I mean, I'm at this point that I'm like, yes, thank you, God, for just some extra Jupiter in Pisces. So how can we actually make it count? Right? Surrender to the sweetness. And it's funny that this came out for the 8th, which is the full moon in Gemini. But I feel like this is, how can we surround ourselves with community that reminds us that it's in the being that the dream is? Because, okay, I'll tell you a personal story that I was thinking about as you were saying all of this, which is 11:55 as they say this. I was at a point where I was saying, I am living my dream. I'm living my dream. This is my dream life. And then I had my cousin come visit, and he's a 24-year-old, and he's super, super ambitious. Okay. He he just moved from the States to Dubai. He runs a hedge fund. He has a goal for his next 20 years. Like, super connected, knows all these random people. So cool. But anyway, the day that I hung out with him and I was telling him I'm living my dream life, I was like, but look at what he's doing. Am I really living my dream life? Can I be doing more? Okay, so there is a good side because I asked myself, can I be doing more? But then there is the bad side wherein I'm like, oh my God, I guess, am I not living my dream life? Because the mind, like you said, the mind's like, you don't know all of these people, you don't know all of these things, you don't know blah, blah, blah. And so, how can we tap back into our bodies, know what we're trying to do? And I feel like in this full moon in Gemini, number one, communicate it to the universe. Number two, start surrounding ourselves with community that makes us feel like we're enough, but also community that inspires us to grow. And what do I want to say with this? Number three, I guess, how can we tie intellect with intuition? Because Gemini, Mercury, it's still intellect. But then this Page of Cups, right? It's like romanticized thinking. It's learning to work with emotions. It's learning to tap into the dream space. But then look at this. In this little heart, there is this atoms, like the science symbol of atoms. You see what I'm talking about? So it's kind of like, how can we tie, it's what's coming to me is science and faith for some reason. I'm going to pass it back to you to see where you want to go from that.
No, I think that's beautiful. Science and faith, man. Yeah, Mercury and Gemini. I really believe this is beautiful, and especially this full moon, this coming full moon, we have a conjunction with Mars, retrograde. In Gemini, that's ruled by Mercury, that just entered Capricorn. And we're reaching a phase in our scientific evolution where science is finally catching up with faith. And science is finally catching up with magic. And the academe is finally appreciating, quantum physics and wait a minute. Quantum physics and atoms and quarks and yeah, anyway, just titillating my my Virgo 10th house. But going back to the full moon, since it's conjunct Gemini, it's conjunct Mars retrograde in Gemini, there's a feeling, or there may be a feeling of extreme impetus to act for and an impatience. I mean, Mars in general is this, I want to do it now, go to now, like everything has to be, but it's retrograde. And this whole Mars retrograde, if you remember, we've been talking about, when we talked about Mars retrograde, it's squaring Neptune 3 times the whole time that it's retrograding. So it's like, wait a minute, here's some water, go relax your titties, because it's just not time. There's more information to be had. There's more alignment to be had. There's more filtering and separating yourself from everything that's been blocking you to be had. And so with this whole, with this full moon ruled by Mercury and early signs of Capricorn, and I think we also have this full moon trining Saturn. Yes, it's also trining Saturn. How can we just sit in that alignment, right? There's a lot of strategy to be had. There's a lot of integration to be had after this eclipse. There's a lot of integration to be done before we jump into 2020 plus 3. I'm gonna leave that there because we know that things can go awry at any given moment. Things can be chaotic at every given moment. How can we be the stillness in the storm? And the alarm from the army just went off. Right? Right on time. How can we?
You can't make it up.
It's time. It's time to be clear. It's time to be aligned with your vision. There's no excuse anymore. We need to be discerning. We need to be hopeful, but we also need to do the work.
Mm.
So I feel like this whole full moon conjunct Mars retrograde, with this impatience and with this need to act right now, the acting needs to be in aligning. There's no other action, I think, that's being asked of us aside from aligning.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you were saying that, I mean, it kind of got clear what this is. It's where are you being where are you having your feet hanging? And how can you make sure you can find the ground, put them on the ground? Like it's okay to play, it's okay to romanticize, but make sure your feet are on the ground, especially as Capricorn is starting to play a role. And in this card, it says Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. Make love to life. As Thea said, so much has been unfolding. And I feel like there might be a tendency where during the full moon, we're going to want to get more information because Gemini, we want information. But how can we notice when we want information just to validate ourselves versus when we want information because we need information? How can we slow down and just make love to everything that there is? Like make love to life, because the next day, Venus square Jupiter. So we felt the Mercury square Jupiter vibe, which was more about communication and more about being. Venus square Jupiter, what are your desires really? What is your truth really? And how are you going for this truth? How are you sharing this truth with people through your creativity? And again, this card, like surrender to the sweetness of life. It's Venus. I mean, I love Venus. How are you feeling about Venus square Jupiter?
Venus is evening star again. She's the queen of freedom and liberation. And with this expansive Jupiter and Pisces, I mean, Jupiter right now is there's so many things that I want to say about where Jupiter is right now and before Jupiter going into Aries, but in honor of brevity, this is just freedom. What does freedom truly mean for you? Right? And for me, this is such a cliche, but freedom is in the present moment and being present. And it's so difficult. I swear to you, I swear with all my being right now, with someone with a grand air trine, with all the stellium in Sagittarius, being present and being grounded is a doozy for someone with all these natal placements like mine. You don't say that with someone with a stellium in Sagittarius. You don't say that to someone like with a grand air trine and be like, be real and stop, get your head out of the clouds. That's it's so difficult to do and to be. But this is where I really truly found freedom. And for someone with a lot of Sag, freedom is everything. To be free to explore, to be free to expand, to be free to be me is life. To be free to be weird is life, with my Mars in Aquarius and this grand air trine and all this air and freedom and liberation. But it's really again in the present moment, knowing that we have the abundance, knowing that there is only but love. That is where true freedom and liberation is. And that's where I found it. And with this Venus heliacal rise and Venus as evening star now in freedom, in Sagittarius, she is the queen of freedom. And she is squaring Jupiter in Pisces, which is the home of Jupiter, the whole ocean of oneness, this abundance of just limitless, boundless everything. I mean, what is holding you back? What narratives are holding you back? What illusions of lack are freaking holding you back? There is no lack. There is only work. And the work, I believe here, again, I'm going to repeat it, is alignment. Aligning with your truth, aligning with your belief. What is it really, truly? What do you believe? Is this belief in line with the beating of your heart? Is this belief in line with the beating of your soul? Then, if it's a hell yes, what the frick is stopping you? But if it's a no, or if it's a you don't know, then take this void. Take this winter solstice time, Capricorn time, to sit and try to look for that alignment, because that is the work that's being asked of us. And which leads me to, if you remember, and if you've been with us since January, I mentioned that the alignment of planets at the beginning of January towards the end of December is the same towards the end of this December. So the whole 2022 can feel like we have training wheels on. So that was the time to just go test and do everything. If it fails, it's okay, because it's a testing ground. Now we're ending, and the training wheels are about to be ripped off our freaking feet when we jump into 2023. How have we been using those training wheels, you guys, for the last 12 months? Discern. Where are we with that? Where are you with that is my biggest question. Before we jump forward, we just came from a full moon that's gonna feel like, ano na ba, ba't hindi pa ako gumagalaw? Asan ka muna? Asan ka muna sa sarili mo? Where are you in yourself, in your heart, in your gut? How are you in alignment with that? Before the training wheels are gonna be bye-bye. And then you're gonna be on your own. I mean, we're never on our own, of course. We are always ever guided. But the proverbial training wheels ba? 2023 is a test of will.
A test of will. I pulled cards. This card is about willpower.
Can't make this up.
No. So I pulled these for the 10th, which is when Venus enters Capricorn. This is freedom. And this is reminding me that Mars is out of bounds, right? And when a planet is out of bounds, it forces you to see things a different way through a different perspective. And so a reminder, as Thea was saying, like, if you're not moving, take this void. But if you are moving, dip into it, feel into the creativity, because you have access to perspectives that are usually not available to you because you're too much in your head. So take this Mars out of bounds and play around, see what comes out of it, see where you want to go. And this card is reminding me that as humans, we're always going to make mistakes, right? There's always a right way and a wrong way. There's always a light way and a dark way, whatever you want to look at it, because look, there's a black horse and a white horse. And so you can always decide how you want to steer your chariot. How are you going to steer it? So you're on top of it. How can you be aware of where you are in the moment and then where you need to go? And the only way to know where you are in the moment is to be still and to live your life. So yeah, how can you get on top of it? How can you remove yourself from this person sometimes, right? Maybe meditate, maybe listen to music, maybe something, but like remove yourself for a bit just to look at where you are. How are you navigating your day-to-day? Because when we're living in the day-to-day, we're just doing things on autopilot. But when we take that little time to journal or to have a look, okay, in the beginning of the year, I said I want this. Now this is where I am. How are you going to regroup, right? This is a great time to regroup. And a lot of people like to wait till December 31st to make a vision board or to, re-clarify where you are with your life. But start right now. If you're feeling it right now, start right now, because the astrological year goes on until March. March is when we have the Aries new moon, which is when a new year starts. So contrary to popular belief, we're not going towards the end of the year. We're actually in the heart of the year, I feel like. Which is why we're getting given so many opportunities. It's like, here, this planet is moving, this planet is moving, this planet is stationing, full moon here. And it's like, I feel like, I don't know why, but what comes to me is like, when you're sitting in a basketball game and they have those guns where they shoot to you shirts or whatever they're shooting from the shirts. It's like the universe is like shooting all these things and it's on you to catch it. If you want to catch it, take it. If you don't want to catch it, sit in your seat and just enjoy everyone else being like, yeah, me, I want it, I don't know, of course, Gemini, that's what came through. Maybe I've just been going to too many basketball games. Anyway, the oracle card that came with it is Star Ancestors, which says hidden secrets, lost wisdom, look a little deeper. Again, to look a little deeper, sometimes we need to disconnect ourselves, Yeah, just step back for a minute, okay? I'm not saying escape your body. No, I'm saying step back for a bit, have a look at where you are, and then come back and steer again. Continue steering because you're the charioteer of your life. Like this is reminding me of the Bhagavad Gita. That's what it is. It's Arjuna as a chariot, Krishna as Arjuna's charioteer in a battlefield. So like Sagittarius, we're our own guru. So how can you start being your own guru? Also, I like to think for Thea and I, the planets are our gurus. They're not telling us what to do. They're not telling us where to go. They're telling us, here's a map, you experience it, and then you create your own words for it. They're not telling us what to believe. They're giving us energies to feel into. And so like, how can we all feel into it and know that we all understand this language? It's not that you don't understand it. It's maybe that you don't want to understand it, right? Whenever there is anything that you feel like I don't understand or it's just not going my way, how can you be like, is it not going my way because I'm saying it's not going my way? Or is it not going my way because it's challenging? And if it's challenging, we love challenges, right? Because then challenges expand us. Yes, maybe not in the moment, but challenges are gifts and opportunities. And I want to just read this little affirmation for this card, which says, I choose who I am becoming, and I run toward it with conviction and consistent motion. Yeah, that brings a few things up because consistency and a women's cycle, like that's not necessarily a thing, but let's switch it to I run toward it with conviction and heart.
Beautiful. I was gonna say. And again with your card, that's such a beautiful pull. Capricorn, for me, is always the wise elder. After all, I mean, Capricorn is a feminine sign. It's a yin sign. So it's the wisdom of our ancestors, the wisdom of nature. Look within, it's hidden, but it's hidden for those with eyes that do not look. But it's so loud for those who can be still enough to appreciate that it's just right fucking there staring us in the face, but we're too busy knowing it all. And this is me talking to me with my Venus in Capricorn. So this is my Venus return coming up, and this is what I learned. Thank you. This is what I learned through astrology and through Reiki and energy healing and all these embodiment. It's like Karina said, the wisdom within, right? It's just hidden inside of us. And I'm gonna say it again, like a broken record, like this year long. How can we align with the wisdom, with the guru inside? Remember, Jupiter is gonna move out of Pisces to Aries. It's gone with the looking for, seeking for the redeemer outside of us. But it's the remembering that we have that strength to initiate into the next level that we want to get into, or whatever level that we want to get ourselves into. But this middle of December, actually this December, is again integrating, strategizing, realigning, remembering what we're here to do, remembering what we're here for, and remembering that we are one humanity, and that each one of us, as we align, we bring our world back into alignment again, alignment with love. So how can we start with us? Yeah, and I think that brings us to the 13th, where Sun sextile Saturn. Saying that again. Aligning, discipline, devotion. Maybe reframe consistency to just determination, because we don't have to always be consistent, especially as women, where we have cycles where we wane and we wax. But when we are determined, even when we are waning, when we're determined, that I am determined to wane right now because I know that as I wane, I am going to be reborn again, then how can we stick to that? What are we determined to create? What are we determined to be and to do? And how are we allowing ourselves to be that already, right? The secret to manifestation is just feeling. I know, see, hear, feel, touch, believe that I am already that which I wish to become, and knowing that it's in the present moment. So this day on the 13th, how can we feel into that? And Saturn is already helping us. Also aligning with community, that's so important. It's always so important. And I shared this with Karina before. There is no consistent change if we do not have a safe space in which where we can change. So with this sun in Sagittarius, this seeking for freedom and liberation and expansion, how can we find community and safe spaces where we can freely, truly expand into our most radical expression? I feel like before we enter the threshold of 2020 plus 3, we have beautiful opportunities from the cosmos to, I keep saying aligned. Wala talaga eh. Alignment. It's really alignment talaga eh. Align with community, align with safe spaces that allow you to be who you are, and flow into that, because it's so natural when you're with kin who um who inspire you, who empower you because you share the same mindsets, but also remind you that yes, I am empowering you with the same mindset, but then there are other perspectives that we are open to also, versus when you're in a space that's just quoting Einstein again, we can't solve a problem using the same minds that created the problem in the first place. So align with tribe and align with your heart's truth. Align with love.
So good. So good. I echo all of that. And it's really just with all of this Gemini action, with all of this Saturn and Aquarius action, with them playing together, it's really, really exactly what Thea is saying. Like, community is so important and it's so underrated. And when we are with people that are similar, when we are with soul connect, like people that feel like soul sisters or soul brothers or soul family, aka Thea, it just feels so good. I mean, I've made friends this year, aka you. I mean, I made you as a friend like a couple years ago, right? But then like I've learned this year that when relationships are aligned, like there are no words to explain the magic that takes place, because it's just really showing us like how real energy is. If we're spending time with people who feel like you can't do that, why do you think you can do that? Of course we're going to think we can't do stuff. But when we're spending time with people that are like, oh my God, you are magic, we're like, oh, you are magic, like let's express our magic together. It's the fact that we had a full moon in Gemini, and then we have the planets moving through Capricorn. It's asking like, is your community allowing you to be integrated? Is your community empowering you to be powerful? Or is your community stripping away your power? And if your community is stripping away your power, please, for God's sake, find new community. Find people who support you. Find people who love you, because the world is filled with how many people? Everybody has somebody. And how funny is it that so many people feel alone in today's world where we're so connected with technology? What is Capricorn saying? Get out of technology into your body. Put your feet on the ground. Find physical people around you who can hold you, who can hug you, who can remind you that you're capable. That's Capricorn to me. And it's been a test, right? We've been talking about this since Mercury retrograde in Libra and Virgo about relationships. And so now, like, look at it again. Have you been doing the work? Have you been doing the work? Like, I've stopped going to so many so many social gatherings that Navs has called me antisocial. But I don't think I'm antisocial. I think I am honoring um, North Node conjunct Uranus in Taurus. Like, stick to your boundaries. If people don't feel good in your body, or not even people, if going out, if that energy doesn't feel good in your body at the moment, stick to your boundaries, because you're worthy of sticking to your boundaries, because you're worthy of seeing what's going to come when you stick to your boundaries. Because when we stick to our boundaries, the universe also steps forward towards us, because they're like, the universe is like, this person's honoring themselves. Here, let me honor them too, especially with Jupiter in Pisces. It's such a giftful time, you know? It's like, you're staying present. Here's a gift. It's 12/21, as I say that, 1221. Like, come back home, come back to you. Yes, partnerships are good. Yes, relationships are important, but relationships are important too, so that we can see who we are in a different perspective. So as you said, it comes back to finding the guru within ourselves and surrounding ourselves with people who remind us that we can be our own guru. Takes us into the 14th, where we have, I like how we plan to record the whole December today, but let's see how that's gonna go.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think we're stopping at the 15th.
Okay, so take it away for the 14th.
Yeah, a beautiful continuation. We have Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn. So again, these boundaries and these structures that it decomposed so that we can rebuild it again. It's opposing Lilith in Cancer. At the same time, Mercury in Capricorn, that just entered Capricorn, trines North Node in Taurus, reverberating everything that Karina said. How can you honor your boundaries? Because Pluto is about to exit Capricorn, where it has been since 2008. What have you been building since 2008? That now, as we enter the final degrees of, or as Pluto exits the final degrees of Capricorn, we call it the karmic degree. The 28th, the 29th degree is the karmic degree. It's a compression already of everything that you built the past years. How many years is that? 2014, 15? Math, man. 14, 15-ish. If I'm wrong, please count for me. 2008. I remember particularly 2008, because that's when I entered corporate-ish. What am I trying to say? Yes, it's compressing it now, because it's asking you, okay, what you've built that I've destroyed and rebuilt again, is this still what you want to bring in for the next 20, 25 years? Because when Pluto enters Aquarius in March of next year, it's a freaking total different disruption altogether. Technology, communities, information, everything that we just talked about, it's gonna get all down. But just zoning it into this opposition with Lilith is, frick, how have these structures really allowed you to nurture and nourish your inner you, the wild and the truth and the hidden, the long repressed radical authenticity that is you? Now it's just time to that all down, because we're entering a new time. We're entering a new 20-year cycle. Actually, not just 20 years. We're entering a new cycle of humanity. And so this opposition with Lilith asks you, everything that you're seeing right now as a mirror that may not be working, what are you doing about it? As we trine the North Node, it's not, again, this work that we're asking you to do is not just about you anymore. It's a collective thing. And it's a collective value system that's being reevaluated. So what are you seeing as reflections? Because oftentimes oppositions show you things that you may feel like is not your fault, but it's just happening to you, but you have nothing to do with it. But baby, you have everything to do with it, because you created your reality. And Pluto and Capricorn is like, this is the reality you created. Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? And Lilith is like, baby, this is the real reality. It has always been in you. But see, there's a disjoint. So what are you gonna do about this disjoint? And Mercury and Capricorn is like, okay, I think I'm gonna need to strategize and use my mind, my lower mind, which is my dialect, my intellect, to actually start talking and thinking about the reality that is more aligned with me. And trining North Node, it is our karmic destiny to build that reality now, here, today, this moment. Throwing it back to you.
I want to say also a reminder to spend time in nature. Mercury, trine North Node, they're both in earth signs, but I love everything that you said so much. And what came to me as you were talking is a lot of us have Pluto and Scorpio, right? So when Pluto moves into Aquarius, it's gonna be squaring our Pluto. Hello. So it's like the preparation of that. Have a look at where you have Pluto if you have it on in the earlier degrees of Scorpio or the later degrees of Scorpio. Maybe don't worry too much about it yet, but just know that we're about to come up on a square. So I don't know, everything Thea said, like, yes, yes. I don't need to echo any of that because that was perfect. Let's go to the 15th. The 15th is Pluto in Capricorn. Oh, sorry, that's the 14th. The 15th is Sun square Neptune. So Sun in Sagittarius square Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury in Capricorn square Chiron retrograde in Aries. One thing I want to point out is everything that's happening with Mercury is also going to be happening with Venus through the rest of the month, right? So Mercury is squaring Chiron, and then Venus is going to square Chiron. Mercury try North Node, and then Venus is going to try North Node. So it's like our mind is getting a head start, and then our heart is coming to check in like, oh, but is this aligned with my heart? Let's drop in again and again. We're just dropping in. But Sun square Neptune now direct, not anymore retrograde. That feels like a time to start creating rituals based on our belief system. To me, it feels like because Neptune, I mean, Pisces is rituals. It's taking the mundane and making it magical. And with Sun in Sagittarius, I feel like we finally have an idea of what we believe in, what is our truth, or maybe at least a little bit of it. And so with Neptune, it's like, how can we start incorporating a routine so that when Mercury square Chiron, when Mercury comes in and tells us that we're not enough, we don't know enough, we're not capable enough, our ritual can carry us through to remembering, of course we are enough. Of course we have enough. Of course we can keep going. Yes, we're not completely healed yet, maybe, or maybe we're completely healed. Maybe we're wounded. Maybe we're somewhere in this spectrum. But rituals are meant to carry us through so that we can keep remembering what is our truth and keep going towards that again and again and again through all the distractions. Because as we already know, Sagittarius and Pisces, there are going to be a lot of distractions. But we come back to what we were talking about in the beginning, which is discernment, which is Thea's very beautiful toilet that she spoke about, right? What is being detoxified? What is being broken down? How are you becoming more aware of your capabilities and of your power just by tuning into the messages that you're receiving? Jupiter is going to be moving into Aries on the 20th. So it's like really, really the last stretch by the 15th of Jupiter being in Pisces. Make the most of it, like feel into it. As Sun squares Neptune, amplify that Jupiter energy in your life and dream it up. Do some yoga nidras, take some naps. If you're a big dreamer, take some naps, smoke some mugwort, have mugwort tea. Anything to amplify that dream space, just so that you can activate Neptune a little bit more, especially with Sun square Neptune. Another idea is go sit under the sun and get some sun codes. I think that's underrated.
Ooh, spend time in water. Give
Neptune.
yourself a very beautiful bath. But also, you did say discernment. Remember to temper, because anything with a square to Neptune can feel so just foggy and disillusioned
Mm,
and just unclear. So
mm.
and
And addictive.
and addictive, especially with Mercury with Chiron here. Don't believe everything that's said, or don't believe everything that you think. Try to give yourself proofs of the opposite, especially if you're really truly believing that what you're thinking is the only truth. That can be a signature of Sun square Neptune. I mean, Sagittarius square Pisces is, this is what I believe, this is my religion, this is my faith, this is the only truth out there. Be careful what you tell yourself on this day, particularly. And also be careful with what you tell other people. Mercury square Chiron, what you say that day, whether or not it's true, it can hit bone deep. So try, like what teacher Cass asked us yesterday, what would love do? And I think on this particular day, of course, every day, try to ask that question, right? But especially on this day where, we already have Mercury trine North Node, so we have an idea of where we're going. But then on this day, we might feel like, oh my gosh, ang layo ko pa dun. Question yourself, really? Are you really that far? Look at yourself from December 15 of 2021. Look how much you've done. Look how far you've gone. Like, reframing. I think this is a beautiful day to practice reframing or cognitive reframing, because just with Neptune, right? And with Chiron, and it's the middle of December, and we have a bunch of planets changing signs. Airplane is moving above me. Yeah. How can we use this mid-December to just take care of ourselves? Be in water, give ourselves some bath, celebrate how far we've gone and how far we've come, and be gentle. I think be gentle with our thoughts and be gentle with our words. Don't make any hasty decisions to stay.
Yeah. Um, Beautifully said. I pulled some cards to round it up. I guess this rounds up the whole month, not necessarily just the 15th, because it's Ace of Pentacles, which is we're being given opportunities of the material kind. Of course, as Capricorn is moving into, as Mercury and Venus move into Capricorn, which is an earth sign, we literally get Pentacles, which is earth. And so we're getting an opportunity of the material kind if we're showing up for it. There are already roots planted, so that means we've already been doing the work. As Thea said, like, we're not that far off from where we want to be. But if we're living again in this autopilot where every day we're just doing the same thing, then we feel like we're really far from where we want to be. So check in, take some stock, look at what gifts are coming to you this month from the planets, from your friends, from like literal or figurative, but opportunities are coming in. How are you going to use them? Remember that your life is a canvas. So as Thea said, like, what you're thinking and what you're telling yourself, that's what you're going to end up creating from. The music that you're listening to, that is the kind of energy you're creating. The friends that you're talking to, the shows that you're watching, the videos that you're engaging in, the TikTok reels that you're watching, like TikTok reels, I combine both. But like, just become so tuned in and so aware, because your life is your canvas. And to me, this whole time that we've had Saturn in Aquarius, it's about taking responsibility for our lives. It's about remembering that we are responsible for how our everyday goes. It's easy to blame someone or the other and not look at ourselves. But then also, as Jupiter enters Aries, we're going to start getting angry, I feel like. And the rage is going to come up before for anyone else. It's going to come up for ourselves. So right now we're doing the groundwork to remind ourselves, you're doing good, keep going, so that when Jupiter moves into Aries, instead of rage, it's passion. Instead of anger, it's purpose. right? We can always reroute it, but we can reroute it when we see what's happening. When we don't see what's happening, we're living out what's happening in the astrology through the lower vibe. And we don't want that, because our life is our canvas and we are being given opportunities. So why wouldn't we take the opportunities to create a magical life?
Beautiful. Okay, so this is our last practical cosmic magic for until February. Are we taking a break in January?
um
We'll flow into it.
Maybe we can record. Yeah, we'll feel into it. I'll bring my laptop. I mean, it's grounding. I love doing it with you, so I'd be super down to find a day and do it.
Beautiful. Okay, so we're stopping at the 15th for now, allowing you the space also to titrate. That was a lot. We did say a lot, and as usual, we look into the aspects, but of course we give you a lot of a lot of words to soak yourself in. So let's rest with that, and let's see how December turns out, and we'll record again the second half. We're always wishing you a lovely time, a most spectacular time. Neptune has finally stationed direct, so I remember Annie, and in honor of Annie, I just want to sing this line to close. And at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. The fog has lifted, you guys. So let's use this time to be in love.
I got goosebumps. I got goosebumps as you sang. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. And we're so excited to see you for the second half of December. And Thea said align multiple times. And alignment, we have a new moon circle that we call align. So if you'd like to align to Capricorn energies, we're doing our circle on the 21st. Yeah, on the 21st of December at 7:55. Yeah, okay. So on the 21st at 7, you see humans and everybody watching this. This is how we flow. This is how relationships that are aligned feel. We're like, yeah. So December 21, 7:55, come join us. We'll be talking about Capricorn. Thea has her moon in Capricorn and has quite a bit in Capricorn. So I am so excited for the knowledge that she is going to bring us. I have Uranus and Neptune conjunct in Capricorn. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but we'll see you at Align, and we'll see you for the second half of December. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Thea. You are magic. I honor you always. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for you.
And you. Bye, guys. Sending you love.
Thank you.